The editor is a second director. The editor can literally make or break a story. It's been so many times where it's been stuff that's been shot well and the wrong editor touched it and it didn't look right. Or it's been times where I've been brought in to edit some projects where the shots were terrible, but I was able to manipulate it to where it made sense. Editing is everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of the One More Time podcast. I'm Playback Ben here with my co-host.
Henry with a 3, because someone already took Henry with an E, so I had to change it up.
That bastard.
Motherfucker.
Henry with a 3. Who do we have in the hot seat today, my friend?
Welcoming in on episode 87 of the One More Time podcast. My personal favorite comedian of all time, absolute GOAT, absolute legend. It's Dave motherfucking Chappelle.
Let's get it, guys.
That's amazing.
Oh, man.
Dave,
I'll take that. I got a lot of respect for Dave. Shout out Dave.
You have to, man. He is my number one comedian, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so what's funny is you actually look exactly like a former guest named Rico Brooks. I don't know if you're familiar.
Really?
He's Sunny Digital's manager, and he looks exactly like you,
really?
to be honest.
Okay. The name sounds
But
familiar,
it wasn't as funny as Dave Chappelle, though.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, we have director, production company owner, production studio owner, podcast host. We got Caleb Seals in the motherfucking house.
Caleb.
Let's get it, man.
But like
Appreciate you guys.
podcast host, bro, like, are you coming for our spot here?
No.
Like,
I
One
think
More
it's wrong for
Time
everybody.
is the only Atlanta podcast that matters.
Can we coexist?
We can coexist. I
Okay.
think we can coexist. I think there's room for everybody. I
Absolutely.
think this
do
year's
too.
about that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I first became familiar, with your work. We had Chad Tenney's on the show
Yeah.
a long time ago at this
Right,
point.
Like first 10, maybe.
He was teens for sure.
teens, yeah.
Yeah. And
Chad's my guy, man. Shout out Chad.
Yeah,
Chad.
for sure. So you guys co-directed the Down Bad Dreamville video
Yeah.
off of Revenge of the Dreamers
Yeah.
3 that had
Which is
J.
platinum
Cole.
right now, by the
yeah,
way.
exactly. And, flex.
Yeah.
That had J. Cole, JID, Boz, Earthgang,
Yeah.
and Young Nudy.
Yeah.
That video was fucking amazing.
Yeah, man. It was a journey, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't just us. Shout out Matt Grant. Shout out Mike Dank. Shout out to our DP, Josh Saban. And just working on that project, it just really opened the doors to the opportunities that's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the directing space. And directing in general, it's just a process. Working with people, working with a team, collaborating with people. And being in a space where you have that many artists on one song is crazy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, how
just
does
figuring out
that-
a way to like build it out.
Yeah,
is insane.
how does that complicate the like music video treatment and direction, right?
It's not even multiple artists, but multiple directors.
Multiple directors, and we had 4 directors, and I think it was 5 artists,
Yeah.
if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So we just like divided and conquered. We just delegated. We worked with, Nudy was assigned to a certain director. I was, working with Cole. Somebody else was working with Jid. We collectively worked with Earthgang, and like we just divided and conquered. Shout out Boss too. Don't want to discount him, but just putting everybody together and just figuring out the right game plan to just execute.
So who ultimately has the say? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sounds like there's so many cooks in the kitchen, whether it's the directors or the artists that are involved. Like, is it Cole that's like has the ultimate say, or
Who
is
has
that-
the final,
yeah?
It's not so much of like one person having the final say so. When it comes to like the collaboration that we do as directors, it's more so like building the right way and collaborating and delegating and like understanding that, okay, I'm gonna bring a certain element, another director may bring another element, and it's no conflict of interest. You know what I mean?
It's more of a democracy.
Right, exactly. So like I may be better, working with talent, whereas another director may be better at storyboarding. And so we just kind of meet in the middle that way.
So is that true? Do you think your strengths lie in the working with the talent side of things?
I would definitely say so. I've always been very successful in collaborating with like talent and like reading people and understanding exactly where they are. You know what I mean? And what that looks like a lot of times is like being able to like read the room and understand, Lil Baby has been on set for 4 or 5 hours. Maybe he's ready to take a break. You know what I mean? And having that type of discernment. You know what I mean? And so, like, through doing that in those real situations in real time, I've kind of built a brand of like just understanding how to maneuver with talent. So like for last year, for example, I shot a full season for Amazon Music. They have like a live series called Hello, My Name Is, which is a show produced by ECG Productions. They're a production agency style, like production studio out of Smyrna. And, you know, through collaboration with them, every 2 weeks in LA, I would go to LA and shoot, you know, several artists. I mean, Seven Streeter, Anthony Hamilton, Buddy I've worked with. There I was able to like have real conversations with these artists and like really understand, you know, where they were musically, like what type of set they wanted to design, what they wanted to present to the world, because like the show was like shot live and it was uploaded to, it wasn't even uploaded, it was just streamed on Twitch. So it's no, like I can't pull up a YouTube video and show you guys. It's just like strictly on Twitch.
No post-production.
No post-production or anything like that. So, you know, you got one shot at making it make sense. So
Damn, is that stressful?
it's very stressful because
I'm
like,
like to be. I'm stressed out.
I'm like, we can do whatever we want on this thing, and like, I'll make it look like nothing even happened.
It's very stressful, but like it's not stressful for me because like I've understood a key thing in just production in general, and that's understanding the value of prep, like prepping for shoots, like rehearsals, preparatory, like, you know, conversations. You know, if you're working with like a narrative project or like a film, like, you know, table reads, you know, obviously like reading through the script and like having those like conversations prior to getting to like set, you know, all of those things are very key. So I've just been real intentional about doing that over the past couple of years, and I've seen like a lot of success. So like the prep that I've been doing, and then also like the key hires that I'm doing too, for the people that I work with. So like, you know, I'm a director. I also am a cinematographer. But I think the main key thing that I do is just connecting the dots. Like I get a lot of people who come to me, you know, starting with those down bad conversations, and that's led to so many other things, you know, working with Nike, working with Puma, working with...
Was there some conflict of interest there?
They didn't really know that I was working with the other, so it wasn't really no.
They didn't know you were working with the ops.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't know, so it wasn't an issue. But I think the beautiful thing about it is just like just being able to like collaborate with these bigger brands, and again, like to even get to that scale, it just came from like understanding the best way to navigate with like talent, you know what I mean? And a lot of people, they'll get in these rooms or get on these productions and get on these sets, and it's like they're expecting them to like lead. Like, okay, like if you're working with Neo on like a choreography based video, you're expecting him to be himself, right? But like, you know, you gotta like still direct.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the main thing. You still gotta direct and lead them in a direction for success.
So
we were just talking about preparation.
Oh my God!
Literally right before you showed up.
The world is a weird place.
It's crazy how that lines up, right?
But
the amount of time to put into prepping versus execution can be just as important.
It just, I mean, it's so cliche, but it's what makes the final result so much better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the preparation details are what has the final product turn out to what it, you know, can be.
Right.
But so going back to the Down Bad video, because I have to ask this as a native Atlantan, how in the hell did you get to shoot the scene at the top of the Olympic torch?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna speak to this and just shout out like Chad T, man, like one of the greatest like friends, business partners, all the above, and you know he made that happen. You know what I'm saying? Just
you have to pay the city of Atlanta, or like who? How does that even?
It's privately owned.
Really?
It's a privately owned tower.
Wouldn't have guessed that.
And I'll say this here on the One More Time podcast. Like we're the only production that's ever shot in that tower.
Oh, I was like, this has to be CGI. that's how
we really did that in real time, and we're the only production that made that happen.
Amazing.
And so that really came from like just knowing who owned the tower, you know, having some relationships, and obviously understanding, you know, what the cost is for shooting in the tower. You know what I'm saying, for that shoot. And it took a lot of massaging the agreement for it to make sense. But it ended up working out, and I think it worked out in the best way it could.
No, because
we was able to get some fire shots in there, man. It was crazy.
Such good shots. And I just have like video friends.
Yeah.
And I know how big a part of the game is locations. Like whether it's knowing a guy or literally just even being aware of that a spot is a possibility.
Right.
I have a buddy now who has been in the film industry for a long time, and he's just a locations guy now.
Right.
That's his whole job.
Right.
He might help get people from A to B, but he knows the spots.
Right.
And that's that can be one guy, his whole job.
And so, just to segue into our studio, the HBUC.
Shout out to HBUC.
You know what I'm saying? Historically Black University of Creative. Shout out them. Shout out Travis Cochran. Shout out all of our staff that we work with and collaborators, partners, and stuff like that. But just to speak to that, the reason why we even started the studio and, the country club, if you will, or whatever term that you want to put behind it, is to just let Atlanta know that there's more roles in the world or in film than just holding the camera or being a director. You can be a location manager. You can work in glam. You can work in wardrobe. You can be a stylist. You can literally work in sound. You can just be a sound engineer and work on film sets for, however long that you want to do that. So just giving people that exposure has been my main goal with the studio. For one, I could build a studio or build an entity, just for the sake of doing it. But we're building a real, university, if you will. We're teaching people. That's why we titled it what we titled it. So we want to just give back, and I hate the word giving back. It's really giving forward. You know what I'm saying? You're giving forward in the sense of you're giving game to the next generation of people. And when it's time for them to step into the role that you're currently in, quote unquote, they're going to reach back to you and say, hey, look, I got this opportunity for you. I got this job for you. I know you've been out of the game for a certain amount of time, but I want to help you out the same way you help me.
Yeah, it comes back to you.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. So it's a 20,000 square foot space or something, right?
Yeah. So you guys got to come by and see it.
What's the price tag on something like that, bro?
Oh, man.
Come on, give us some round numbers at least.
It's very expensive on a monthly basis, I'll say. 5 figures expensive. But through and through, the main thing that we want to do within the space, again, is if you want to come in and you want to shoot on a unique set or a unique look that you just can't really find anywhere on Peerspace, on Gigster, anything like that, we have that there. Another thing too is we're developing a community into a country club. And so through that, we're providing memberships. So, the same way the Gathering Spots has memberships, let's just say you want to shoot for 25 hours a month, you can do that. And we have the space to where you can come in and, you can shoot 2 hours this day or 4 hours the next day or whatever the case may be, and you can prepay for it in bulk, kind of like Sam's Club, and it'll be a lower cost overhead for you.
And you have a lot of different sets, so you can get a different look.
A lot of different sets. So we have 5 or 6 active sets right now. So you have so many different opportunities to create something really dope and highly impactful. One of the main sets that I curated personally is the LED set, and one of the main things that it was used for was the Hawks schedule release for last year. So the video of Quavo, in the garage, that was in our studio.
Dope, man.
You know what I mean?
That's fire.
I was literally about to ask, what are some of the coolest things that have been created there that you're most proud of?
Yeah.
Sounds like that's one of them.
Definitely.
The first project that we've ever had in our studio was Chris Brown Go Crazy Remix. So working on that project with Riveting Entertainment, that was pretty dope. We pretty much had Dirk, Thug, Ghana, Mulatto, all of their sets and looks, that was kind of built and curated within month 1 of us having the studio.
Month 1.
Month 1.
That's a crash course into owning and operating a studio.
Right. So a lot of that really had to do with just us having the right relationships prior to us owning the studio.
Sure.
And so when the studio kind of went through, it was all right, it's time to go.
Right.
So was that a logical like next step in your career path was to open this studio, or was that like, did it take a lot of internal deliberating, or was this always a vision for you?
I think it was just time. You know, I think it was just time. Like, if you look at a mechanic, like, he needs a car shop. You know what I mean? Like, it just made sense to, like, as a director, like, have a production studio or a production space, or just, like, you know, again, like, directors do need space to kind of set up and build and to, you know, whatever the case may be. So I think, like, just having that space, it just, like, it's opened so many doors. It's like allowed so many conversations and so many good things to come out of it. You know what I'm saying? For example, one thing that I'm extremely proud of last year is we had Stacey Abrams hold, like, her largest event, you know what I'm saying, in our studio.
In the studio?
Yeah, in our studio.
Wow.
So we had, you know, I would say well over 400 people in there.
Wow.
You know what I mean? In our studio. She's on a panel with 21 Savage. Charlamagne's hosting.
Crazy.
Damn, yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah, we had Lyndon Johnson, civil rights activist, on the panel as well. So
damn,
that was in our studio. So just, like, being in a space to where, like, we can provide, like, value in that sense is just huge. And I think that has, like, it's opened the doors for me in a directing standpoint, because, like, the studio is my playground. You know what I'm saying? I can go in there and create whatever I want to create and not be limited.
Yes.
You know? So I think it was definitely the next step.
Yeah, because I guess the alternative is, because not every director owns a production studio,
Right.
I would assume.
Right,
So
right.
the alternative is you got to fucking go pay for the playground.
Right.
every time.
in.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
So
And
that-
so that's
yeah, that
what
is
that was the
nice.
thing for me.
Yeah.
Also, there's just something to be said about, like, having, like, a base, like not like an office
Yeah,
space,
yeah,
or just a
yeah.
place where you can go and you're like, all right,
Right.
this is where I go to create, this is where I go to
Right.
work, this is where I go to do my business.
Right.
And just a location,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So, like, to speak on that, I feel like you have different spaces for different things, right? You have your home. That's your time to kind of decompress.
Yes.
Like, that's your time to reset. That's your time for family. And then whatever work looks like for you, it needs to be a separate environment to a degree. And so, like, having a studio, it just, like, it allows me to freely create and freely tap into, like, that zone when I want to tap into that zone.
Yes. I think a lot of people realized that during the pandemic, because it was
Oh
like,
God, fuck work from home. to
people
be
were
honest.
like, oh, I get to work from home. This is amazing. I don't have to go to
It's
the office.
terrible,
But
man.
It's,
Like,
it's harder
you
to
know?
get yourself up and bootstrapped when
Yeah.
you're just in this place of comfort.
because it's like when you're working from home, you don't really have a chance to turn it off.
Yeah.
Because you're just thinking about, like, oh, I'm getting emails and it's midnight. Like, no, like, you can turn it off.
Separate the
You know, you
two.
can separate the two. Exactly.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, I definitely have to, like, I take way more walks just for the sake of getting out of
Yeah.
my fucking
Yeah.
house.
Right,
And it's
right,
like, it's not like I have a terrible house. Like, I love my house, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
having to live, work, eat, play all in the same place.
space,
Like,
it's
yeah,
tough. It's tough.
It gets tough for sure.
tough.
So how did you get your start? Were you like,
Yeah.
was the music video side of things like how you first got in the game?
Yeah, so for me as a director, I got my start, like, just shooting running gun music videos. I started out
$250 a video. Anyone?
like, I mean, even less than that, bro. Like,
Yeah.
Henry, to be honest with you, like, I was shooting a lot of videos for free.
Sure.
I was, like, working with, like, a lot of artists for free, just trying to make ends meet. You know what I mean? And so when I say that, like, you know, what's today? I mean, it's 2023 January. Like, 10 years ago, like, when I was starting out in 2013, 2014, like, I was in college. Like, I was really just trying to find my way. I was a kid from small town, middle Georgia, you know, coming up here. I got my start in Atlanta. I went to Kennesaw State. And I would say, bro, like, 2
Shout out
years
to Owls.
in,
The
you know what I'm saying?
Owls.
Shout out to Owls. You know, but I got my start, like, you know, 2 years in college. I just really wanted to, like, pick up a camera and try something different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, try something unique that could, I don't know, just wanted to do something different. I was always a kid who was, like, willing to experiment. Like, I owned a snake in college. Like I had a hamster as a kid.
Okay.
You
know
were
what
the
I mean?
snake
Like,
guy, huh? I think I've heard about you.
Well, I wasn't the snake guy, but like
If you had a snake, you were the snake guy.
Yeah, sounds like a snake guy.
I played like soccer in high school. You know what I mean? So like,
same here.
you know what I'm saying?
He's
Like,
trying to cover up the snake thing with
Right.
like something normal like soccer.
so it's
Don't
like
fucking skirt the snake thing, bro.
So it's like I was just like willing to experiment and try and put myself in different environments that I really wasn't exposed to prior to like that experience. So, you know,
But like, did you have rapper friends or some shit? Like, how did you even? You know what I mean?
like bro, like to be honest with you, like, the rappers say these days, bro, I got out the mud. Like, you know what I'm saying? For lack of better words, like I didn't really have like a group of buddies who just like are these prolific rappers. Like I really just got out here and started shooting. I started collaborating with a lot of my real friends that were artists at Kennesaw and shooting with them, shooting for them, you know, building their stories or whatever the case may be, and using that portfolio, right?
Yeah.
To pitch to the right people. So I had built a portfolio over like 6 months. And this was right before A3C. You know, I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with A3C
Of course.
Festival, right?
Sure are.
So this was like maybe, again, 2014 when A3C was hot. And so like I just submitted as a photographer. You know, it was like an unpaid photographer situation. And I submitted and they responded. They was like, hey, look, like, you know, hundreds of photographers reached out, but you wanted the top 30 or whatever the case may be at the time. And like, I'm like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? I just had my little DSLR from like a refund check from financial aid. It was like a Nikon D3200 for people that's out there that's familiar with cameras. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I started with, like, you know, $300 or $400 camera with a nifty 50, as they say, a 50 millimeter, you know, which is like $100 lens. And I just made it work.
There you go.
The nifty 50. I like
The
that.
nifty
Yeah.
50.
Gets it done.
So Chad Tenney told a epic Young Jeezy story about like how Jeezy basically
this
like
story.
owes him $50K
Yeah.
allegedly.
Yeah.
Jeezy, I'm
don't
still
know.
on your side, Jeezy. Fuck that Chad T guy. No, no, but you know, are there any like stories? You know, breaking into hip hop as a videographer and like a camera guy, like you guys get treated like shit sometimes.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, for sure.
You're
For sure.
like up there with engineers, man, as
Right,
far as
right,
just like
right.
disrespect, yet
yeah.
you're somewhat of the most important
Right.
people in the process, right?
Right,
It's like
right.
you're helping them visually tell their story.
Right.
Engineers are helping them create the sound along with the producers or whatever,
Right.
right? So are there any kind of like funny, you know, stories or like stories that have like really cemented in your brain like over the years of shooting hip hop videos?
21 Savage owe you a check or anything?
No, like
T.I. maybe?
Nah, those guys are good with me. Like I always say, like a lot of the horror stories that we hear, you know what I'm saying? I hate to be, you know, the devil's advocate, but like it really just boils down to not taking care of the business. And I felt guilty to that too. You know what I'm saying? It was, and I hate name dropping just purely off the sake of like name dropping, because like this is like real experiences for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Traumatic.
So it was about 2 years ago, man. I was like, you know, like, and I hate being that guy, but like, you know, since we here, like it was 2 years ago, 2020, you know, August. I was working with Kanye West, man, and you know, shout out Kanye. And it's not entirely Kanye. I've actually grown through this situation and understood that, like, you know, it's not so much of like the person, it's more so the brand and the entity. That's the entity. That's the issue. You know what I'm saying? So working with him, he moved down to Atlanta for a period of time. I think it was like 30 to 45 days. And you guys remember when like
It was the Donda rollout.
The Donda rollout, right? And you guys remember when he walked on water?
Okay.
It was like the Sunday service.
Oh, right. During Sunday
Right,
service.
right. Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
him getting lifted in the air at Mercedes-Benz.
That was last year, but the one prior to that in
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah, okay.
When like it was like the whole Sunday service thing, right?
Yes.
And so like he was at the studio. I'm not gonna disclose the studio, but you know, he was working at the studio, and basically I curated like that Sunday service, like working with like the art team, hiring the art team. You know, shout out those guys and girls there that were involved. But like through that experience, I was like hired to basically produce everything that Kanye was looking to do, like, you know, his like music entity, obviously Yeezy brand, you know, obviously he was working with Adidas at the time. And just to reel it all back in when it comes to like not being paid, you know, this thing kind of snowballed, right? I like using that analogy. It kind of grew into something that a lot of people couldn't control, and I still was able to control it to a degree. So like his whole company, the Sunday Service Band, which is over 100 people, his staff, which is like another 100 people, he needed just a space to work out of. So it was like 30 or 40,000 square feet at this like production studio that they shoot a lot of Marvel films and stuff like that. And I was brought on board to be the lead, you know, liaison between like him and whatever he needed done, you know, like from, you know, like handling like his talent that he was bringing in. Obviously think of like all of Good Music is in there recording, engineers, Yeezy brand on the other side. He's beat it with different designers for China. Like I'm doing all of that in real time. This is like a period of like 10 days. And it's like, bro, it's nonstop. You don't clock out from working with Kanye.
Right.
You just like, you go to sleep at like 2 or 3 a.m. just hoping that he don't hit you until you wake up at 8.
Right.
That's what it's like. And so like during
you
that
just
time,
close your eyes, but you're like probably not really sleeping
right,
well.
Exactly.
Your eyes just happen to be closed.
You know what I'm saying? So just going back to Chad, like, you know, you're in a space where you're working with Jeezy and you're working with these people that's like, okay, like, it's Jeezy, it's T.I., it's Future, it's Baby. Like,
They gotta be legit.
They gotta be legit. I'm not thinking about like contracts. I'm not thinking about NDAs. I'm not thinking about like a scope of work. I'm not thinking about commercial insurance. I'm not thinking about those things. Cause like for me, I'm in front of Dan Cathy, which owns Chick-fil-A. I'm in front of Rick Fox. I'm in front of Farnsworth Bentley. I'm in front of Kanye West.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm in front of these people in real time. Like, so while all of this is going on, I'm not like, obviously like I sent off contracts. I've sent off like a scope of work. I've sent off all of these details.
Tell him the Chad Tenney's quote real quick.
What's the quote?
Contracts are worth the piece of paper that they're printed on.
Right. They are. They are.
Did you have a crash course in this?
I did. And me and him have had this conversation. And contracts only really go so far, but it's still an added layer of, okay, like these guys are serious. You know what I'm saying? It helps in that way.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And if Chad wanted to pursue something, he just didn't want to go down the legal route.
Right.
Because you would win if you have a contract and it's legit.
Win.
You would win.
We
You
would
spend
win.
all that money
But
on lawyers, time,
You know what I
energy,
mean?
frustration.
And
Sadness.
so like, you know, if you have a lawyer who can like, okay, like just take care of it and I don't have to do all of the legwork, then it makes sense. But if you don't have the right lawyers in place, it's just probably not going to make the most sense.
Right.
Especially with like somebody who's as aggressive of a businessman as Chad.
Yeah.
So that's what it boils down to.
So the Kanye thing, like just assumedly you had sent over things and like just unanswered, non-replied.
I think the main thing is just like the demands on a daily basis. Like I had up to 15 people out there, bro, like that I hired to like help execute whatever they needed done. And like, you know, through working through all of that, like it was just like a challenge. You know what I mean? Just getting a response on, for one, COVID, bro. Yeah. Like this was August 2020. Like people were getting COVID in real time and we didn't even know what it was. You know what I mean? Like
that complicates things a little bit.
You know what I mean? Like this is August 2020. Like I think COVID became a real thing in February.
Yeah.
By August, it's like, okay, like, oh shit. Like people are really dying that I know. Yes. It's real. So
so asking to be in a gathering of like hundreds of people,
right,
or like even small rooms of people,
right?
You're losing people to sickness.
Literally,
they're calling
bro,
out sick,
man. And so,
but Kanye doesn't care. The job needs to get done.
So a lot of times Kanye didn't even know. He wasn't even aware of it. Again, like, it's a Kanye situation, but it's not Kanye directly.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
the brand.
It's like his team
Yes.
that he's hiring. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he's got rid of a lot of those people. And, you know, like, shout out his, you know, manager from back in the day. I'm not gonna drop him, but, like, you know, me and him got great rapport even to this day. So, like, everything's good. We still gonna figure out the money, but we gonna cross that bridge when we get there.
I don't know. It's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years. Like, they say on average it takes you a year to get paid from Kanye. So, like, you know, it's about that time. Well, it's about that time.
That's hilarious. So, you know, you mentioned kind of like factoring in budgets and like realistically, how much is this Olympic tower going to cost us, right? I want to get your opinion, man. Like, how important is a budget to the execution of like a hip hop music video? Obviously, the majority of our audience is like hip hop fans or like, you know, hip hop music industry people. Like, how important is the budget?
I would say the budget is important, but it's not as important as people think it is. It's just like, people are like, okay, like, you shot a great shot. Like, it's a great shot. Like, what camera did you use? It's not really about the best camera. It's about the camera that's capable. Like, you need a camera that's capable of 60 frames to shoot 60 frames. You don't need the most dynamic camera to do that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so that's the same thing with budgets. Like, you don't need the top dollar for every line in your budget sheet in order to produce a great video. Like, a lot of my videos that you guys are in love with were, you know, quote unquote, like, low budget projects. Like, it's under 50K. You know, it's under 100K for the most part. You know what I'm saying? And so with that, it's like, the most important thing in order to produce or make a great video is having a great team that understands the camaraderie that it takes to make a great video. It's like the team, and then also the concept. Like, the concept has to make sense, and then it's like all of the working pieces, you know, in the food chain, if you will, have to make sense. They have to coexist. Like, the director has to be in synergy with the DP. The DP has to be in synergy with the selections of the editor, you know? And to be honest, and this is something that's like slept on in my opinion, like, the editor is a second director. Like, I'll say that here, it's like,
One more time.
the editor is a second director.
And yeah, what do you mean by that?
And so what I mean by that, like, the editor can literally make or break a story. It can make or break a scene. It can make or break, like it's been so many times where it's been stuff that's been shot well and the wrong editor touched it and it didn't look right. Or it's been times where I've been brought in to edit some projects where the shots were terrible, but I was able to manipulate it to where it made sense.
Yeah.
Editing is everything.
It reminds me of engineering too, like mixing and mastering a record. It's like, if you do your job correctly, nobody notices.
Right.
They only notice when you fuck it up.
Right. Right.
Or it's also, I thought where you were going to go is that, like, let's say a recording engineer and the artist get like borderline, like, not that great of takes. You as a mix engineer, I've seen you do some fucking wizardry where I'm like,
I've changed like the
you've changed
mispronunciation of words and shit.
literally he's fixed words. And like, I've seen the artist text threads being like, yo, how'd you like fix that like bar that I fucked up? Cause they like just completely fucked up the bar and said it completely wrong. And he was like, yeah, I just used this piece from here and then like chopped it up with this and like manipulated that. And like, same thing with you is that you're able to maybe take the input of like somewhat shitty shots or like average shots and turn it into magic through edits, man.
Right.
Like we've even noticed this. Like the editing is everything, bro.
It's not.
Editing
but
is everything.
It shouldn't be though, because ideally
Right.
you have good stuff coming in. The editing
Right.
should theoretically be the easiest part,
Right.
Because if you start with good material, it's so much
Exactly.
easier to just come out with a good product.
And that's why we started this interview with like pre-production is everything.
Yes.
Not post.
Post is like a safety net.
It's a safety net. Exactly. And it's
If you
just
need
that
it, maybe we can take care of it, but like don't need it.
but you don't want to put yourself in a position to where you have to use that every single time.
Yes. Couldn't agree more.
What's the highest budget music video you've worked on?
I've touched a couple 150s, a couple 150s. And like the music video budget space has been on a downtrend, to be honest with you,
It's gotta
because like as of today, like a lot of promos, short form content, like stuff like that gets more like traction than full length 4-minute, music videos.
Yeah, a selfie style
Right.
TikTok
Like
is
like
doing
all
better.
of like all of that stuff is doing better. You know what I mean? Like,
Are you threatened by that at all?
I'm not threatened by that at all. Cause like, to be honest with you, I'm in a space to where like it's time for my debut feature. You know what I mean? Like I'm really trying to transition from music videos and everybody has their own, path. Right? Like some people thrive in the music video space.
You're doing feature films though.
Like feature films is definitely where I want to be because like it's impossible to tell a story in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like a full-fledged story, and I've developed a certain style. I have a certain look, and like it's just time, man. And so like I'm not threatened when it comes to that. I think music videos will never go away. It'll never go away from me either. But when it's time to transition to the next level, it's just time. You know what I mean? And I've had a great, almost 7-8 years working on music videos, and I've learned a lot. But through that resilience and through those lessons and through those failures, bro, like, through all of those failures, it's only going to make that next transition to features so much easier. You look at filmmakers like, Barry Jenkins, Ava DuVernay, Jordan Peele, like a lot of those filmmakers, like, yes, they have like a lot of pre-planned shots, but like Barry Jenkins, for example, specifically, like he gets very intentional about like getting like a lot of run and gun stuff, like on the fly, like very intentional, like close-ups and stuff like that. And that's my shooting style, you know what I mean? And I learned that coming from the music video space versus like coming from narrative. So like I align with him so much more, you know what I'm saying? And like, again, like everybody knows about Moonlight, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so just meaning like being more flexible and spontaneous with the shots when you see something.
Right. Just going to
like,
get it.
Let's do it.
Right. Just going to get it, being able to like, okay, like we had a very specific schedule or script for this day, but I see a shot that's going to add so much value to this story that I'm not saying no to nobody until I get it. You know what I mean?
And having the confidence to go off book from this plan that you've taken so long to develop.
Exactly.
Yeah, because the producers are like,
right.
We're supposed to be on the next shot.
The money.
More specifically, like the assistant director. The assistant director is like, yo, like we got to move on. Like we got to go to the next scene or the next shot. But
yeah,
like,
because they're like playing by the rules, right?
Yeah. So their goal is to keep the production on a set schedule and things like that. But
try and reel in the crazy director.
Yeah. So they try to reel him in. Like, but it's like, it's a, good cop, bad cop. I guess.
So how do you go from like music videos transitioning into the corporate work? Because obviously I know your end goal is like, film direction and kind of like, bigger, budget films and that sort of thing. But like, the initial step that you took clearly was from like the run and gun music videos with just homie artists and, artists that you started.
Videos.
Yeah, exactly. So then how do you, you've worked with shit. Let's just talk about like the Nike Yardrunners campaign as the example, right?
Yeah.
How does Caleb Seals find himself, moving, from the music video scene to being like trusted by one of the biggest brands in the world?
I would say like relationships are everything. I was able to build a great relationship with Cam Kirk, over the years.
We just had Cam on.
Shout out my guy Cam.
2 episodes
Collective
ago.
Gallery, you know what I'm saying? Drop the ball, fam.
Yes.
Cam is one of the greatest photographers, in Atlanta and beyond. And, like, one of the main things I want people to realize is like when you're building a brand, it's important to understand the blind spots or the weaknesses of your brand and also the weaknesses, of other brands, right? And, for a Collective Gallery, for example, like a lot of those guys, like they're photographers, right? They don't really do video. Like their specialty is more photography. For us, open season, shout out open season and a lot of us over there, we specialize in video. So when it came to like these Nike campaigns that wants a combination of both photo and video, it made sense for us to partner up. So we've been doing that too, going on 3 years.
Yeah.
Just building. And that started with a great edit on the first round of projects. And I came in and I delivered maybe 30 edits to them, bro. Like,
holy shit.
Like 30
music videos?
No.
The Nike,
like the Nike Yardrunners.
Oh yeah, wow.
So like it was so many different like influencers and so many people involved, and like this person needs to edit, and like this yard runner, and we need this overall edit, and like it needs to be a 9x16 and stuff like that, and all of that stuff is like, it's cool. And I understood the long term, right? The long term is I want to build with this entity and this brand as like a client. So, like the first run with somebody that you're trying to build a real relationship with, it's probably not going to be pretty. So like, like having that, mindset at the forefront is just key. And it has been key for me. Like just knowing that, like, like it's gonna suck. But get through the stuff that sucks. Right. And after that, like, we did that first project, this was like a low 5-figure like project overall between like what Cam, like and his team did and what we did too collectively. Like that was like a 5-figure situation. And come around this year, like it, doubled, into 6 figures. And so like we just been growing and like obviously it's been profitable. And like that literally all started with like a great edit on the first round of like Yardrunners campaigns for like 2.0. The first one was like Cam was like honored and some more people I wasn't involved in. This last year, like I said, like I was brought on to take lead of like video. So like I was like head of production for that. And just putting together like a really impactful edit from like the stuff that we shot really made it see its way through. And it actually was like honored. Nike has like a yearly award show. A lot of people don't know this. I think it's called
the Nikes.
It's something else. It's something like, I don't know, it's called Maxim or something else. But it has like a specific title, and like Drake hosts it like every other year. LeBron is like a premier guest. You know what I mean? Like a lot of those. So
it's like a small thing,
It's a small thing, but it's also big.
Drake, LeBron.
It's like big and like private. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's only 3 campaigns a year that can like be honored for this. And the Yardrunners campaign was one of the 3.
So for those that aren't familiar, what is the Yardrunners campaign all about?
The Yardrunners campaign. So like Yardrunner in its term is basically if you're in college and you're at an HBCU or at a PWI, we have, obviously like sororities and fraternities on campus, and like, you know, in that community, it's called the Yard. You know, you have all these different like organizations. You know, the Yard is basically where all of these different communities kind of come together, and you know, it's a community. They work together, they build, you know, and stuff like that. So being a yard runner basically is saying like, yeah, like, you know, you're an ambassador, you're a leader.
I run the yard.
Like basically, yeah. So that's basically what it is. So if you run a yard on your college campus, like you basically one of the ones. You know what I mean? So that's basically what that means.
Okay, yeah. But it is targeted to like the HBCU.
Yeah. It's mostly targeted towards HBCUs for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
But again, like even with their campaign, it's definitely open to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, did you in your wildest dreams think that you'd be working with a Nike? And you turn this little thing of just like being experimental as you described it, like, hey, I'll buy this camera, shoot my rapper homies, you know, like to working with arguably one of the biggest brands in the world.
Right. So like working with Nike, working with Kanye West, working with J. Cole. I never thought it would get to this point. You know, you never really know.
Some people are psychos and like believe it the whole way. It's different. Some people are different. You know, it's interesting.
Right. But, you know, again, like I'm one of those people where like I literally took it one day at a time. You know what I mean? Like, what can I improve on today? You know what I mean? Like, and one thing that I'm super big on is like self-reflection. Like really taking time to like think about even following this conversation today. Like, okay, like what could have went better? What could I have shot better? What could I have, like, you know, I like the metaphor like putting out fires. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to put out real issues in real time on sets is like super key. Like through those conversations and situations, what could I have done better? You know what I mean? So doing all of that, that's how you improve. That's how you get towards your goals. One thing I will say, taking that time to figure out the best approach through every situation is just like so key. You know what I mean? It's so key, and it's allowed me to be as meticulous as I have been. You know what I mean? When it comes to directing, when it comes to like, bro, like as an engineer, like you know how intentional you got to be as an editor. You know what I mean? As an engineer, like you got to be super detailed. And that just comes from that, like just being able to, you know, make decisions in real time and operate in chaos.
Yeah, being okay to fail too, right? Like
being comfortable in failure. Yes. Like I will say that too. Like, you know, being able to confidently fail is so key, and not, you know, caring. Like, you know, for lack of better words, not giving a fuck. Like I can't really care about what the response is to my failure. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no such thing as a loss. You know what I'm saying?
It's a learning
lesson.
experience. Yeah, it's a lesson. And that's a W.
Every loss is a lesson.
And then lessons are W's.
Right.
So there it is.
Yeah, it seems like you do have like you're clearly working hard each day and like, you know, moving at a significant pace to try and achieve like the next thing and whatever. But it does seem like you're kind of okay with living in the moment, and like as things come, they come. I don't know. You have like this cool calm demeanor about you. You know what I mean?
So
have you always been like that?
I'll say this too. I used to be in a space to where like I felt like everything needed to happen on my time.
Like rushed.
Like I needed to be, you know, a Forbes 30 for 30, or I need to be this, or I need to be that. Like, you know, I'm just taking things as they come, bro. You know what I mean? I'm working on different projects. I'm collaborating with the collaborators that I work with and things like that. And that's really it. The things that are for me, the things that are for you and you, like, they're going to come. You know what I mean? And that's what I've learned over the years, like having this whole mindset of like, I got to do this by this date, or I got to do that. No, like just focus on today. Like, what does today look like for you? You know what I'm saying? And really being present. And I've only gotten to that space through therapy, through conversation. And ultimately, one thing I do want to touch on too is like having the right mentors, bro. Like a lot of people just navigate in this space and they don't have mentors. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why they fall to the wayside or they get burnt out in year one.
Yeah.
I'm 8 years in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So who's one of your strongest mentors in the space?
Man, like I would say honestly, like Zach Wolf. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Zach. Like
He's a photographer, right?
he's a photographer, but also a DP.
Oh, he is? Okay.
For like a lot of stuff.
Because Cam mentioned him as kind of like the holy grail of like,
Man, Zach
you know,
Wolf,
D
like-
Wong, Zach Wolf, Gunner.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like shout out Motion Family, but like Zach Wolf, like showed love to me like early on. Like I would say like 2016, bro, like 2017, he was like, look, like, yo, like you shoot music videos. I see what you're doing. Like, it's dope. And so, like, he gave me a couple pointers and stuff like that. And, like, bro, like I said, like, I don't have, like, a lot of hip-hop, like, older homies who just, like, been around. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really have, like, nobody just, like, in my real corner. So, like, just having, like, him reach out and just say, hey, look, like, I see what you're doing. I like what you're doing. I like the direction that you're going in. Like, I want to help you. You know what I'm saying? So like having those type of real conversations with people, it just really changed the game for me. And then, you know, for a lot of people that don't know who Zach Wolf is, like, you know, think about every amazing Outkast cover, like that came from Zach.
Yeah.
Like everyone.
Yeah.
Legend.
So
That's amazing. Yeah, we need more of that shit.
Yeah.
Like the fact, you know, just people reaching out and genuinely like fucking with what you got going
You know what
on
I mean?
and wanting to help.
Right.
Like, I mean, I got off a call earlier with one of my like success models in the podcast space. These dudes up in Canada, NFR podcast. I had like an hour and a half call with this guy just because
Shout out them.
he genuinely like fucks with what we got going on. We're obviously big fans of his, and we just like shot the shit. And so, you know, the reason why I was asking about like if you've always been kind of like a live in the moment guy and just like, you know, working hard day by day.
Right.
He was like, I think it's an American thing, bro, because they're Canadian. And he was like, I think it's an American thing, bro, but you guys are just like so rushed.
Yeah.
Like to your point, you were probably like, I need to be this by this.
Right,
and that.
right,
And like,
right. We don't need to
Henry's
rush.
looking at me like,
Dude.
you motherfucker. Because I like took that from him too. Because like Henry tells me this all the time, but I don't believe anything Henry says. But you know, hearing it from someone else who I do you know look up to as well.
Right.
It was like it made me feel like okay, like we do have something special going on,
Right.
and we do need to like work hard. Because don't get me wrong, these guys are fucking workhorses. So he doesn't
Right.
have this just like lazy like type of cool, calm, and collected. He's like we're getting shit done,
Right,
but
right,
like
right,
we're not chasing everything as like has to happen by this time.
Right.
As cliched as is, like our path is going to be our path. Our journey is going to be our journey.
Yeah.
It's going to happen in the time that it needs to happen.
Literally.
And like he said, you're also going to think that you need to do this and something's going to happen and you're going to fucking do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And he's like, you got to be open and flexible and like a sponge and just be willing to pivot because, you know, they're almost at 1 million on TikTok and they've got like 150K subs on YouTube. They're bringing in like 50 million views a month across their platform. Like they're crushing it.
Right.
But he's got this like just
Calm
such
demeanor.
a cool
Yeah.
demeanor, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you meditate at all?
I meditate very often. I'll say,
Yes.
like taking time to just isolate.
Yes.
Before your phone starts ringing in the morning
Yes.
is so key.
Yes.
Before the kids start going, you know what I'm saying? Before artists start hitting you up,
Yes.
like that's key, man. Like just taking time for yourself and setting your intentions for the day.
Yes. It's huge. It sounds so simple, but like the effects it has are
Like
actually
man, like that's been a game changer because like this is a stressful business, bro. Like I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like it's exhausting. You know what I'm saying? Like yes, it's been cool working with the Nikes of the world, but like you know, like for every project that you see get put out, I'm losing 3 weeks of my life.
right.
Period.
That you'll never get back.
I'll never get it back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's exhausting. So like taking that time to meditate, to recharge and to rebuild is just so critical.
Yeah.
So 2023, what can we expect? What's Caleb most excited about? What's on the horizon that you're, you know, wanting to speak on?
So in 2022, I spent a lot of time transitioning. And I transitioned from mostly music video stuff to more commercial and short form content. So that's why you seen the Nike Yardrunners. That's why you seen the Puma projects. Another one I do want to talk about as well is actually edited, not only one, but also two projects for Ava DuVernay, in 2021 and 2022. So like for this year, it's time to continue to, again, like I look at like an editor as like a second director. So like for this year, I'm looking to work on more short form content in the space of like short films. Working on my debut feature film.
Is that written already?
It's in the works.
Are you writing it?
I'm working on it. I have a team of collaborators, and we definitely putting it together. But like, I think the most important thing is like building for this year, like commercials, short form content. Working with Nike more. Working on things like this, more podcasts. Last year was my first year really like talking on camera in real life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You deal with like a lot of camera people, and 99% of camera people, like they don't sit and talk. Like they want to be a fly on the wall. You know what I mean?
There's a reason they're usually behind the camera.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a reason they're behind the camera. But like it's time to step in front and really talk about what we're experiencing, what our goals are, what we're working towards. And, for a lot of open season, that's what we're working towards, bro. Like we're working to be in a space to where like, I'm working on a TV show and I'm directing, 5-6 episodes of, Power. Or, I have a DP that's a part of open season. They're working on 5-6 episodes for the game or whatever the case may be. So that's the goal, you know what I mean? And it's no shade in music videos, but like we just really enjoy character development, story development, and collaborating with like real talent and telling real stories.
But you'll still pick up the phone if J. Cole calls again.
Of course, yeah.
I guess just to kind of like wrap that thought around the music videos, I think the reason why someone like a you does want to maybe like, elevate from music videos is because of the like passion for the art and the storytelling, like art form itself. You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, I mean, to your point, Henry, selfie style videos, people can tolerate like not like no story.
Right.
So like the viewer doesn't care as much about the story. So there's a select group of artists, I would say, within music where your role is very important.
Right.
So it's probably highly competitive too, where it's like there's a small fit or small pond, of those types of artists like the Coles and like the Billie Eilishes and like the whoever that are actually like telling these fucking wicked stories within their 3 to 4 minute music videos. And so like when it comes to that, it's like for you to be able to do your own thing, or like there's so much like film and TV that can tell stories that there's just like a bigger pond I feel like to play in, you know what I mean?
It definitely is. It definitely opens the doors. You know what I'm saying? I think the biggest thing is like opening the doors. Like, rap is rap. So it's like, you're limited to the style of videos that you can produce and put out. But just in the narrative space in general, like you have so many different genres of film that you can dive into. You can like work on a comedy this month. You can work on a drama. You can work on like a horror film. Like it could be like a spoof, bro. Like it could be, it's so many different avenues. And like, just like building out what that looks like for us and our team is just like, I think that's what this next year is going to look like.
So what genre are you writing?
Drama.
Okay, drama.
Yeah, I'm working on a drama.
Okay. Dialogue heavy, like real.
I would say
character
dialogue,
development.
I would say dialogue heavy, but like I'm also working on like, and it's not just one idea; it's a few ideas. And I can't really disclose it yet because like the script ain't really finalized. But like, it's a few events in time that haven't really seen the right story being told about it. You know what I mean? And not being shared or reflected in the right way. like just think about what the last 3 years looked like. And I know it went by quick, but a lot of things happened in the past 3 years. So
Is that a
just
little
breaking
hint?
that down.
Is that
That's a little hint.
Is that a little teaser?
So it's an anti-vax film.
I wouldn't say
So it's a short film about the corn kid.
it's not Jeepers Creepers.
Fair enough.
Man, that's amazing. Bro, we appreciate you coming on. We've entered the final segment of the podcast. Henry, take us away.
Caleb, this is the Rapid Fire Rampage.
Okay.
And it's going to be a 3-part rampage.
Okay, cool.
I'll break down the sections as they go. The first one's a simple little short answer. Buckled up?
Ready?
Let's get it. This one's kind of a philosophical question. What is your go-to Domino's order?
Nothing.
Perfect.
Papa John's kind of guy.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck you, Domino's.
Nah, no Domino's.
Caleb, what is one of the weirdest things you believe in?
Weirdest things I believe in. Dang. I have nothing.
Very logical
Weirdest
guy.
thing. Very logical. Very logical. Very direct.
All right.
We've had a flat earther on here just to give you a.
Oh, really?
I mean, we don't know if he was serious, but that's what he said.
I think he was. But.
He seemed kind of serious. Shout out Yo Dog, the rapper.
Shout out Yo Dog.
Yeah.
Caleb, you have, let's say, $150K
Okay.
to shoot and direct a video for Jay-Z. Give us a basic breakdown, how you spend it.
How you spend $150,000 paying Beyonce to be in the video?
She wouldn't do it for free?
All of it?
Oh, nobody does anything for free.
Even for her mans?
Wow.
No, of course not.
Wow.
You'd be surprised.
I guess,
Okay.
yeah. Damn.
So what else?
That's it.
She costs 150.
Oh, that's just for a trailer. Like that's, you guys.
so it's just Jay-Z and
Yeah.
Beyonce standing in a blank room.
Oh, yeah.
Caleb with an iPhone.
Oh yeah, with an iPhone. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It goes viral.
that's
Yeah.
it.
All right.
Good.
That's
All
a
right,
hit.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Caleb, what is your spirit animal?
My spirit animal. I would say a koala bear.
I thought you were going to say snake because you're a snake guy.
Nah,
He's got a pet snake.
I'm furthest thing from a snake.
I don't
know.
want to be a snake.
But he owned one.
I would say like a koala bear because like they're nice, they're gentle, they're warm,
But they'll fuck you
they're
up.
also the most vicious animals.
I always forget
And-
that about koala bears.
Yeah.
I'm
Most
still
people do.
thinking like
Yeah.
he's just like cute and cuddly.
And that's what makes them more dangerous, arguably.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
The
I don't know
perception.
if you guys have seen the meme, but like the more you fuck around, the more you find out.
yeah.
That's me and the
chart.
koala bear. Yeah.
So do we just scratch the surface here with you? Is this like
Yeah.
the cute and cuddly
Yeah,
version?
yeah,
And he's gonna like murder us after
No.
this? Guys, if we don't
You
come
guys are good
home
with me.
after this episode, it was Caleb Seals. We are in Stone Mountain, Georgia.
We made it 87 episodes. It was a good run.
It was.
Okay, moving on. Caleb, tell us about a time you made a huge mistake.
A huge mistake.
Massive.
Monumental.
I would say a huge mistake is anytime that I worked on a production and I didn't have the proper paperwork in place. Mm-hmm. And
Yo, get
that's
your
been-
fucking paperwork straight.
That's been
People.
a few times, but that's been a huge mistake. Every time that I didn't do that, it went left. Like every time. So
Damn, that's
take care of the paperwork as much as you take care of the creative work.
Even if you don't have
That's
to
a bar.
use it, like just having it.
well, because I think it's like what he said is that it does give you this, like guise of being serious about your
Professional, yeah.
shit and
Right,
like don't
right,
fuck with me,
right,
even though
right.
you might not actually like sue them and whatever.
It just sets a tone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before you talk to a client and you send them an NDA, they're like, oh shit, like
Yeah.
they're serious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, when I was, starting to get into the management thing, like I was talking to managers right and
Yeah.
left trying to get advice, and like
Right.
the majority, there's a few that operate on strict handshake agreements. and,
Right,
like,
right,
That's
right,
cool with their situation, whatever. I'm not going to judge, but a majority were like start getting paid immediately.
Right.
Have the paperwork in place. Like
Right.
even if you're getting paid like $20 or $100 because
Right.
20% of a small amount is a small
Right, right,
amount.
right,
But it just sets that tone of like, this is how we're going to
It
do
sets
things.
the tone.
You
Right.
know what I mean? So,
That's the key thing.
Ben, this is the rapid fire rampage once again. So
I'll try and keep it rapid.
Keep it going. Caleb, what day is the first day of the week?
Sunday.
God, there's
Yes,
such
sir.
an overwhelming
Yes,
amount
sir.
of crazy people out here.
We're about to put together the compilation.
It's Monday, bro.
It's definitely Sunday. Caleb, is there an accent you can do really well?
Is there an accent I can do really well?
British.
It's a little.
A spot of tea.
A spot of tea.
Feel free to finish the rampage in this accent. I can't do that. Anyway, sticking on the geography tip, you must get rid of 3 states. Which states do you delete?
I would say Nebraska.
Nebraska? Is there an old Nebraska?
Yeah, because what's in Nebraska?
Yeah, Nebraska. Yeah, for sure.
Nebraska.
Corn. They have corn.
You know what I mean?
Corn kid.
Oh, we can't get rid of that.
2 more.
Nebraska, I would say, man, North Dakota. And South Dakota, because Western Dakota.
Mount Rushmore's in South, but
We can build a new one.
yeah, we'll figure that out. We'll probably make a way better one now.
Yeah.
You know,
3D print one out real
Right.
quick.
Yeah.
Okay, Caleb, how many rubber ducks would fit in a U.S. military tank?
easily 1 million.
Million ducks.
Yeah.
A million rubber
Million
duckies.
ducks. Yeah.
I just like the
Easily.
dichotomy of the rubber duck in the tank.
I see what you did there, Henry.
Last one of the rapid fire, or the short answer, excuse me. Caleb, what is your favorite curse word?
Damn.
Part 1.
Part 1.
Damn.
A million rubber
'Cause
duckies.
Yeah.
Damn is so purposeful for so many different situations.
It's universal. It's like
It's very universal.
yeah. It's like the
It's biblical.
Swiss Army knife
And
of curse words.
It's also biblical.
yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's not so harsh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah. It's not like fucking bitch.
Right. It's like damn. Like you can say damn in front of your mom and it'd be kind of
Right,
cool.
yeah.
But if you say shit fuck, like god damn it.
Yeah.
It's like-
a little different. Okay, moving on to the this or that portion. I'm going to give you 2 choices and you pick your favorite one. Sound good?
Cool.
Rapping or singing?
I would say singing.
Drums or melodies?
Melodies.
Night vision or fisheye?
I would say fisheye.
Portrait or landscape?
Portrait.
Slow motion or time lapse?
Slow motion.
Call or text?
Definitely text first. Text first.
Silly hats or silly socks?
Silly socks.
Hot chocolate or chocolate milk?
Since it's cold, hot chocolate.
Chinese food or Indian food?
Definitely Indian food. I like Indian food.
Win the lottery or find your soulmate?
Find your soulmate.
Be half your height or double your weight?
I would say double my weight.
It's a tough one.
I'm telling you,
Yo.
man, like it's teddy bear season, bro.
I love to hear it.
Yeah.
And,
It's like, there's hope.
It's hope, bro.
There's hope for us big boys.
last one of the this or that. Get punched by a 6-year-old 10 times a day or punch a 2-year-old once a day.
Get punched. I would definitely get punched.
Part 2.
Wow.
That was pretty rapid.
That was aggressive. the last one,
I'm not
Henry.
punching kids. Let
You
me-
were
let me
really
be
trying to
very
set
clear.
him up for.
You know, I was ready.
You really only had one choice to not get canceled.
Right.
Did you hear that Caleb Seals guy's a fucking 2-year-old beater?
Hey, I survived.
He's a child abuser.
So you improved very heavily on the second part. It was very rapid. It was very good. Ben didn't interrupt as much. It's all going to boil down to the last part. This
Okay.
is the word association.
The word association.
I'm going to
Let's get
say
it,
one
guys.
word. I say one word. You say one word, maybe 2 words, whatever, off the
Okay.
top of your head. First thing you think of.
All right. Gang, gang.
Here we go.
Yep.
Starting with hip hop.
Reverend.
Ooh, good one. Children.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Just went down. Okay. Color.
Man. Just
He had a big year.
Just when we thought he wasn't an
Dahmer had a
abuser.
big year. He had a big year.
But we just talked about him abusing kids.
yeah,
in the last.
that's why it was fresh on his mind.
Wow.
Which is it's him. It's not me.
Right, for sure.
I guess the film's not about Caleb. Anyways,
Moving on. Color.
Red.
Unicorn.
Solange.
Breast.
Chicken.
Mold.
Disgusting.
Lens.
Focal length.
Uber.
Eats.
Atlanta.
Hawks.
Butterfly.
Travis Scott.
Lil.
Baby.
Bitcoin.
It's up.
Is it?
Not right now. But in general. Yeah.
Dang.
No, that's good. Keep that. Keep
Yeah.
that one. We'll keep that. Escort.
Driver?
Podcast.
One more time.
One more time.
Let's go. Let's go.
I thought you were gonna say change agents.
Shout out Change Agents.
Yeah. Not
Shout out
as much
Change
as,
Agents.
Not as much as one more time.
We on the One More Time show, so we on a one more time basis. So
One more
shout out the guys here.
Yeah, you're on
But
our
also
you're
shout
on
out
our
Change
turf,
Agents.
bro.
Gotta get you guys over the Change
Yes,
Agents
for
too.
sure.
One more
We'd
time.
love to.
Yeah.
But wait for this last one. Open.
Season.
Let's
Yes,
go.
sir.
Let's go.
This has been Caleb Seals.
Mic drop.
One of your favorite directors, producers, filmmakers on the rise. Be on the lookout for one of his short films coming soon, hopefully.
It's coming soon.
Yes,
Real
sir.
soon.
We appreciate you coming on. As
for coming.
always,
Yes, sir.
please like, comment, and subscribe. It would mean the world to us.
Turn on notifications and share it with a friend.
And until next week, Henry, what are we doing?
We're getting out of here.
We're getting the fuck out of here. Peace.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time. Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time. Hop up in a foreign skirt, no. All the homie, this shit tripping, no. Middle finger to the law.